Hi guys, it's Roy from Bellados 3D here again with another Blender to Unity two-part video series. And in this series I'll be creating a chair to go with my school desk. In the first episode I'll be modelling it, and in the second episode I'll be painting it in Substance Painter and importing it into Unity. So without further ado, let's get over to Blender and let's start modelling our chair. Okay, for this model, we're going to keep the default cube for a change, and we're going to model the seat out of that. But first things first, I'm going to add some reference images so that I know what I'm doing. So let's go into front orthographic view with 1 on the number pad. And let's press Shift A and go down to Image, Reference, and we can select our reference image right there. And that brings a nice little image which we can use as a template for our reference template for our model. Okay, so what we need to do with that one is we'll need to press G and Z to bring it up above the little red line there, so that the line at the bottom of the chair there is on the red line there, and that means that the when we make the model, the origin point will be at the base of the chair where it needs to be added to a scene. And next I'm going to just move that GX on the x-axis so that it's sort of central to there. We will tweak that as we go along. Okay, that's about right. I need to duplicate this now, and that's Shift and D, duplicate, and then right click to snap it back into position. And if I press RZ -90, now when I'm in the right orthograph view with the 3 button on the numpad, we've got the side view of the chair, and obviously we need that chair position GY sort of central about there, I would say. I do have a top-down view, but I'm not going to bother with the top-down view because it only need to see the curves on there, so we can do that by eye, no problem. But what we do want to do is move these out of the way of the actual model, so press G and X to move that along to there, and G and Y and move it along to there. So now when I'm in front orthographic view, I can see that piece, and inside orthographic view I can see that piece. Right, let's go to the cube. So what we want to make now is the seat. So I'm going to go into front orthographic view on that, tab into edit mode, and I'm going to press Shift and C to bring it into wireframe. And actually I think I need to go into the side orthographic. That would probably be easier. So let's S and Z and shrink that right down, and we'll move that sort of central of that, like so, about there. And let's shrink that down so it's about the right height, and that looks about right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to box select this piece here, and I'm going to bring that back to about there, and then the same with this one, so it's in line about there. So now what we've got is we've got a box, and it's a little bit wide, so we go into front orthographic view and press A to select all of it, and press S and X to bring it in. And that background image is a little bit off to the side, so let's select that and GX and just bring that in there like so. Excellent. And then we can just slide that back out there. So we now got the overall shape for the seat. All we need to do now is go into edge mode with 2 on the keyboard and select these 2 front edges, press Ctrl and B, and we want it about there, I would say, and scroll up to 3 times like so. Now this is terrible geometry with a big old N-gon on the top there. It shouldn't be a problem if it was flat, but just in case I like to join them up, so I'm going to press 1 to go into vertex mode. I'm going to select these 2 vertices just here and press J, and again these 2 vertices just here and press J. Okay, so them 2 are connected, and we do the same at the bottom. Press J, and we press J again, and now we need to connect them across here. So let's take a look. let's see if I can get, yep, XX and 0. And then we can just join them two together by pressing J. And the same down the bottom. Press J. Excellent. And then we want to do the same up here for this one. Here. And we want to just select that SX0 to straighten it up. And GX. Let's put on the snapping option to vertex. And press GX and snap there, so it's in a straight line there. And then we can join these two vertices with J, and the same there and there with J. Now I want to repeat the same on the other side. So let's see. What we need is, we're not going to be able to do, well, we can. X 0 and that, and press J, and it looks like no, that's it. And we can join that one there, and then we'll do the same along this side. Join that one there to that one there. Right, and that's all nice and neat there. Right, now all we need to do is go into edge mode with 2 on the keyboard and select all the edges around here. What we want to do is give this a nice little bevel, because nothing's sharp edged in real life. So let's do this. And, whoops. Control and B, and we'll bring that in, and I'm just going to bring that back so there's only 2 extra loops in the middle there, and we bring it out. Obviously it doesn't look smooth, so we're going to right click and press shade smooth, and then we're going to go into the object properties tab, select normals and auto smooth. I'm going to bump that up to 60 as I always do. Excuse me if I'm a little bit quiet today. I've got a bit of a sore throat at the moment, so I'm not on my best form, but I shall muddle through. Okay, so we have our seat there, and next we're going to start modelling the legs. Okay, for the legs we're going to need a cylinder, I think. So let's press Shift and A and select Mesh and Cylinder. Now let's make sure we've reduced our vertices down to 12, and I'm going to leave an N-gon on the top caps. And it's way too big, so let's go into side view with 3 on the numpad. Press Shift Z to go into wireframe, and let's zoom that all the way down with S to scale, all the way down. And we should be able to get that to about the right width for the legs, and that's about right by the looks of it. Now when you scale in object mode, you must remember to press Control A and apply the scale to stop it from having a non-uniform scale. And let's go back into edit mode, and we're going to select that, all the top vertices up there, and we're just going to bring that all the way up to about there. I think that looks about right. Okay, so let's zoom in a little bit, and we're going to extrude that out up to about there, and then I'm going to press G to move it and just line it up in here, and then rotate it a little bit. And as you can see, as you rotate it, that stretches out a little bit, so we need to scale that down just a touch, just a tiny bit, just to keep it in the right scale. And let's move that down there a little bit, and then press E again to extrude, and do the same again. Just move it around, rotate it, move it, scale it down a little bit, and bring it back a little bit there, maybe rotate it a little bit more, and I think about there will do. Press E to extrude yet again and rotate it, and this time this will be the last one before it goes almost straight, so let's bring it in as straight as possible and bring it into the middle about there, and it will need scaling out a little bit just there, I think. Okay, so then what we need to do is extrude it all the way around this edge here, and for that I'm going to speed up the recordings. You don't want to hear me saying extrude, rotate, grab, move, scale, rotate. Yeah, it's boring. Okay, so there we have our legs. Obviously there's only one side of the legs and it's in the middle, and we need to put the legs to one side and then mirror them on the other side. First things first, I'm going to right click and press shade smooth to smooth them off, and I'm going to go into the object data properties, go to normals and auto smooth as I normally do, pump that up to about 60, and we've got our nice smooth legs. So what we'll do is from the front view, front orthographic view with the one on the numpad, I'm going to go into edit mode, select all of it, and G and X, and bring it across just to about there. Okay, that looks about right to me. I'd say that was about right. As you can see, where it's scaling and rotating, it's bulging a little bit here. So I'm going to go back in here into face mode with 3. I'm going to Alt and click this edge loop here to select all round. I'm going to press Alt and S to scale, and I'm just going to bring it in slightly, just a tad, just a tiny bit. There we go, and it's nice and smooth all the way around. Right, so we need to create the legs on the other side now, and we do that by going into our modifier tab, selecting add modifier and clicking on mirror, and as simple as that, we now have our legs on both sides. So we now have our seat and our legs, and the next piece will be the back piece. Right, for the back of the model here, for the bar at the back, I think we're going to be using almost exactly the same process as with the legs. So I'm going to do it in the same model as the legs, like so, and I'm going to steal some geometry from it. So let's go to face mode with 3 and Alt select this edge loop here, or face loop, and press Shift D to duplicate it. And I want to press G and X, bring that to the side, and then I want to bring that down, G and Z. And I think the back piece will be a bit thinner than the legs, so I'm going to press Alt and S and just scale that down like so. Or maybe a little bit too small there, so let's scale it back up a little bit more. I'd say about there, and we want that as close to that metal piece as possible. There. Yeah, I think that looks about right. So let's go into side view with 3. I'm not going to waste your time explaining this. You've done this on the legs before, so let's just copy what we did before and extrude, move and rotate around this piece up here. It's not going to be spot on exactly right there. I don't know where these blueprints came from, but they don't seem to line up perfectly, how a chair would actually physically line up, but they're good enough for a reference. So let's speed up the footage a little bit. Right, and as you can see, what I did just there, just to give this better curve so that it isn't as sharper as it was, I took these loops just in here and I beveled them, just one bevel on them, and it just gives it a smoother curve. And you can do that on all of your joints. If you can't quite get it smooth enough and you want it smoother, you can bevel the joints. I could do it here or here, but once this has all been painted, it's not going to notice so much, but right there it was quite sharp, so I added an extra bevel. And this top piece, what I'm going to do on here, it doesn't quite show it on the models there, which is a bit of a pain. It actually bends and goes along the x-axis and joins in the middle up here. So I'm going to turn clip on here, and I'm going to use a small trick with this. But first things first, let's go into front view mode. Yep. And back into edit mode. Press 2 to get into edge select, and I'm going to select this edge all the way around here. I'm going to shift and duplicate and snap it back into position. And now what I want to do is RY90, and I'm going to move that to about there, I would say. So now what I can do is I can, with that selected, I can then press Shift Alt and select this edge loop here, and I can press Control E and bridge edge loops, and that joins these up. But now what I can do is I go down to this little menu down here, and number of cuts, 1, 2 and 3, and then that gives that bend on the actual curve there. So we've now got a bend right there. So I can now select this end, and I can just go GX and move it in, and we have our back piece nicely made. And I think on this corner I might actually, if I alt select this and this, press Control B and just bring them out and even them out, gives it a bit of a smoother curve on there. And there we have the bars on the back. And next we will need to add the back panel. And that's going to be one of the simplest things we do in this video. I'm just going to copy this one here. We've got a piece ready. It's the right shape. Why not just copy it, shrink it, and rotate it, put it on the back. So let's press Shift and D to duplicate that, and we're going to edit mode, press A to select everything, RX minus 90, and obviously it's a little bit too big at the moment, so let's go into side view, and we're just going to move that back up there. Now I would just want to rotate it a little bit this way just to straighten it up a bit, because what I want to do is SY and just shrink it down a little bit like so. And if I press Alt Z and select these bottom faces, let's come out of that, Alt Z again, and we can go GZ and bring that up to about the right height, about there. So select everything, rotate to get the right angle, and G to move it like so, and rotate a bit more just to line it up, and G just to get it into the right position. And that looks about right, I think. So let's come out into object mode and take a look at that. And that's spot on, perfect. Right, last thing to do before UV unwrapping, I'm going to need to decorate the bottom of these a little bit, put some caps on the ends of the feet and the poles up here. So I'm going to do that by selecting that model and going into edit mode with tab. I'm going to bring down, let's go into side mode so I can see it clearer, Control R, and I'm going to bring a edge loop to about there, and same there, and bring the edge loop to about the same sort of height, about there, and then reselect this one so I've got both of them selected. I can press Control and B and bring that out, scroll it right the way down and then up one, so there's one in the middle, and set it right there. I can now press Control and minus, and then that will reduce the selection down to just the middle ones. And then up here I will switch the transform pivot to individual origins and press S and scale it in so that we now have a cap on the bottom of the chair. The last thing for that is 3 to go into face mode. I'm going to select that and I'm going to Shift Alt select there. I press S and press Shift Z to exclude the Z axis. Just bring that out just a touch because we want the feet fatter than the actual thing. So it gives it a nice little foot on there like so. And then what I want to do is a similar sort of thing on here. Go into edge mode with 2 and select the edge there. Press F to fill. And I just want a small cap on the end. I don't want it feet like with the legs. So I'm just going to press Control R and bring that into about there. Control B, bring that out just a touch. Control minus, and then S to scale and bring that in like so. Now while I've got that selected, I'm going to press Control and E, and I'm going to hit Mark Seam, because I'm going to start marking the seams on this. So with that selected, what I also want to do, I think that's gone a bit narrow there, so I'm going to press 3 and select that edge loop, and I'm going to press S, Shift Z, bring that out a little bit, go into edge mode and select this piece here and scale that out a little bit, just a little bit. That looks a bit better, and I think I made that a little bit fat, so let's select that S and excluding the Z axis, just bring it in, and let's do the same on the back piece here. Let's go in there, and with 2 on the keypad, go into edge mode, Alt select this line here and scale it out to about here. 3 to go back into face mode, select these faces, S exclude the Z and bring it in, and that should give me, yeah, that's much better. Right, so let's get back to marking. Let's go 2 to go into edge mode, select this edge here, and we'll also shift select this edge here. I'm going to shift alt select this one right in the middle there. Yep, that looks about right. And I'm going to select this one here, this one here, and we're going to go around to here and the bottom one here. And I'd say that one and that one, and then that one and that one. Press Control E and mark seam, and that's all of that marked, ready for unwrapping. And next we will mark the seat and the back piece. So let's go into the seat. Now what we want on this is going to be wood, and I think the main grain is going to be going from front to back like so, and then around the edges around there. So to do that, what I want to do is I think I want to select these 2 loops here, Control E and mark seam, and that, if I go into face mode, means I can select that and that. They are separate and we can lay them out as they are. And then if I go into the back here in edge mode, if I select, say, this piece here, nope, just this piece here, and shift select this piece here, and then do the same on this side and this side, press Control E and mark seam. That'll break that down so that it's not too much, too long a piece on the UV map. And I think that should all come out nicely. And we'll do exactly the same on this back piece just here. So it's this one here, this one here. We'll select this one. Oops. This one. This one. This one. And there. Control E and mark seam. Right. So let's go through this and apply any modifiers. Let's select on there and press Control A to apply the mirror modifier. And I don't think I've got any other modifiers. So now all we need to do is select this piece, and this piece, and press Control J to join them all together. And if we go into editing mode, UV editing mode, we can then go into edit mode, select everything, and press U, unwrap. Now if we go down to the unwrap box down here, we can change a couple of things in here, and I want to change from angle based to conformal, and that gives me a much straighter UVs. And what I want to try and do is, with the metal pieces, which are the legs and the back, I'm not too worried about, but with these pieces here, what I want to try and do is get all of the pieces where the grain is going one way to be the same way on the UV map, and all the pieces that are going the other way to be the same way. So let's see. I think if I move that over to there, I can rotate that one 90 and move that over there. And I think all of these, I will R90 rotate. So now if I press A to select everything and then A again, and I go up to UV and press pack, and as you can see, that's rotated them again. But if I go down here and untick the rotate box, that will leave them in the rotation that I put them in. And for some reason, that one seems to have rotated and that one seems to have rotated. So if I go R90, press A, and then UV and pack islands, and it's remembered that I didn't want to rotate it. Now we can just have a look through and just adjust the margins just a tiny bit so that it fits nicely together. We've got a little bit of space between each island, just to stop it from bleeding over. I think that looks about right. Okay, so that's nicely unwrapped. So our model's all ready. It's nicely unwrapped, all finished modelling. And in the next video, I will be taking it into Substance Painter, giving it a decent, nice little texture, and then porting it into Unity. I hope you enjoyed this video and learnt something. If you did, please press the like button and tell your friends about it. If you want to see more of this content, press the subscribe button. And if you want to be notified whenever I upload a video, hit the notification bell. Thank you very much for joining me, and I hope to see you in the next video.